Hi everyone, and welcome to Creative Chelsea. Today I'm excited to be sharing with you my November 2022 Artisan Design Team project. I was asked to use the Lights Aglow suite of products. This group of products includes the Christmas Light Bundle. Here's the stamp set, and it bundles with the Twinkling Lights dies, which comes with dies to cut out the images, as well as some other fun designs. The Brightest Glow bundle is also part of the suite of products. So that's the Brightest Glow stamp set. This one has the greetings, and then it comes with the Labels Aglow dies. And again, this gives you some beautiful labels, some decorative elements. It's a really beautiful set of products, and used together can make some gorgeous cards. The suite of products also includes some embellishments, including this beautiful gold and vanilla ribbon and the festive pearls. And you can see here that I have been using those pearls and really have enjoyed them. There's gold, silver, soft succulent, and cherry cobbler. There are 3 different packs of paper that also come in this suite of products. The first one I want to share with you is the Glimmer Paper. So this comes in a 12 by 12 pack. You get 3 colors: Evening Evergreen, Very Vanilla, and Gold. And you get 2 of each sheet, so there's a lot of paper there. There's also the Festive Foils pack. So not sure if you can see, but this has some really beautiful foiling patterns on them. We've got the soft succulent, the cherry cobbler, and then a gold. And that is also a 12 by 12 pack with 2 sheets of each color. And then we have the Lights Aglow Designer Series paper. This is a 6 by 6 pack of paper. It comes with 48 sheets. There are 12 different patterns, and one side has some gold foiling on it, and then the other side does not. So I'll flip these around so you can see the other side. Just some really beautiful paper in this pack. To purchase any of the products, please visit my online store, and the link is below in the description. I was so excited to play around with these products. If you follow my channel, you will know that I also did a Fun Fold online card class using these products as well. It was so fun. If you would like to see those cards, click on the link in the top right corner for details, and then visit my blog to purchase the replay video tutorials and PDFs. And if you have any questions about that, you can email me, and I always list my email address at the bottom of the description below. If you are new to my channel and want to see more of my videos, click on the subscribe button and then the bell for notifications. So the cards I'm going to be sharing with you today both have this fun negative focal point. This is where the focal point is actually below the front of the card. So here is my card front. You can see that that top piece is popped up with dimensionals, but the focal point is below that top piece. Do you see that dimension? And both of my cards have this fun detail to it. It's a very unique look to your cards. Most of the time we stack layers on top of them, and so it's fun to have this little negative impression in our cards. And we're also going to be doing some gold heat embossing to get that really beautiful shine to those images. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp that main focal point image onto some Evening Evergreen cardstock. Now you can use any colored cardstock that you'd want. I am using gold embossing, so you want to make sure that that gold is going to show up. And I really wanted these to be a classic Christmas color, and so I'm sticking with my Evening Evergreen. Whenever I am heat emboss, I want to use an embossing buddy. What this does is it provides a layer over my cardstock so that I don't get any extra gold embossing powder stuck to my cardstock. It just ensures that I have a nice clean image. And I add quite a bit of embossing buddy. Next, I'm going to use a Versamark to stamp my image. And I'm just going to do both images on this same piece of cardstock. And this is just a scrap piece of cardstock that I have left over from some other projects. You want to make sure you get good coverage on your stamp with that ink. So if you need to re-ink your ink pad or, move it around and stamp it a couple times, go ahead and do that so you know that you're going to get a nice clean impression with that first stamp. So I'm not sure if you can see that, but I have stamped that onto my paper and now it's ready for the gold embossing powder. So I put my embossing powder into these clear drawers. I don't know what they're typically used for, but I like that I don't have to gather it up and put it back inside its jar. It's always ready for me to pull out and use. So you're just going to apply that powder to those stamped images. You want to make sure you get a good coverage, and then you can tap off any excess. Then you're going to take your heat tool and you're going to heat it up. And I like to heat it up from underneath my cardstock. Don't you just love watching heat embossing melt? How it just goes from being dark and matte to this bright, shiny image. It's just so fun. I love it. Okay, so here's another tip about using embossing Buddy on dark cardstock. So you'll see here that it's just really distracting, right? We've got this kind of this chalky film on the top of our cardstock, and we don't want to put that cardstock on our card. So once we give that embossing powder a minute to cool, you want to make sure that you don't do it too soon after you've heated it. You're going to take a microfiber cloth and you're just going to rub off that embossing Buddy. Do you see how quickly and easily it just removes and brings back that beautiful dark cardstock? And I do this with all of my cardstock, regardless if it's dark or light. We're going to use a pair of paper snips to just cut out a nice large border around them. We are going to do some die cutting on our snowflake, however. So maybe I'll go ahead and do that now since we're kind of talking about it. So go ahead and cut those out. It doesn't need to be perfect because it's going to get hidden behind our main element, our main card front. Okay, but you don't want to get too close to your image. Make sure you leave a good space around it. So the tree is ready to go. We'll just chop off that corner. But let's go ahead and do the die cutting on that snowflake. So in the, let's see which one, the Twinkling Lights dies, you're going to have this, there's two dies here, and they fit inside one another. So the first one, the large one, is the outside die for your snowflake. So you see here how it's going to cut out the outside edge. And we're going to be using that for our negative space. So that's the die that I've used to cut that out. But this inside part is kind of a detailed die. And I really loved adding it to our stamped image. So you are going to want to have some washi tape on hand, and then you just line it up in between these points, exactly where I want it, and then add my washi tape so it doesn't move around on me. So here is my image. You can see that I've placed the die between my snowflake, like the little arms of a snowflake. Okay, and what that's going to do is it's going to cut out this fun detail between those sections. So I'm going to run this through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I'll be right back. So gently remove that washi tape. You don't want to tear your cardstock. And then that will pop out. And then you can use, there's this really fun brush right here. This is the brush tip on the Take Your Pick tool. And that just kind of helps pop out all of those little pieces. So you can see how that's just creates this really fun multi-dimensional snowflake. So those are ready for our card. So the next thing we need to do is create that negative space. So we've got our snowflake, and we also need the Christmas tree. So let me grab that. Okay, so I found that. So just the outline of the tree. And then we're going to need our patterns that we're going to use. And I'm using this soft succulent pattern. It has some snowflakes and some gold dots to it. And then my cherry cobbler pattern has these little gold snowflakes on it. And we're going to cut this down, each piece, and they're going to be the same size. So I'm going to begin by cutting the smaller size first. And the first cut is 3 3/4, and then rotate to 5 inches. And then I'm going to do the same on my other piece. So 3 3/4 of an inch, and then rotate to 5 inches. And then these extra pieces you can put to the side and use either in the inside of your card or for another card. So next we are going to add our die. And there's just a couple things that you could do here if you wanted. There are some really delicate pieces right here to this snowflake. And if you want, you could use some foam adhesive sheets. So these foam adhesive sheets, it's just this solid foam piece, and you get 6 of these. They are just under 2, 3, 4. They're about 4 1/4 by 4 1/2. So just a little bit outside of a square. So you can use this on the back of your paper if you want, in the center, to help support those little tiny delicate pieces. The only reason why I didn't is because you would see that you would see the foam on the side, and so I didn't want that, so I am not going to use it. But if it bothers you to have those loose, if you're worried about putting it into an envelope or having those snag on something, then you could use those foam adhesive sheets. So you're going to place your die in the center, and if you want, you can use a ruler. So what I'm going to do is line it up on my grid paper, then bring in my ruler, and I'm actually going to place my ruler so that it is, let's see, 1/8 of an inch off of my paper, so that I've got 4 inches and the 0 inches are both off evenly, which will tell me that that 2-inch mark is the center of my cardstock or my DSP. And then I line it up on one of these lines going straight across. And then I can use my ruler to make sure that that center is right where I want it, and that everything is nice and straight. And then make sure to add a little washi tape to your card. And you may want to actually add it to the inside this time rather than the outside, because we're not using the inside of that DSP. Okay, so it's going to look like that. So same idea, line it up on your grid paper. You're going to place your ruler, if you've got one, so that you know where the middle line is. So add a piece of washi tape at the top, and then I'm going to do kind of the same thing here, just to make sure that the die sits about the middle. And I think it does. I think that looks good. So I'm going to cut that in the center. Now, if it doesn't need to be perfect for you, then just eyeball the middle of each piece. And we're going to run that through our machine and be right back. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and discard those inside pieces. It would be a really great thing to come up with a card for that, because then you'd have kind of a 2-for-1. So that would be kind of fun. So you can go ahead and put those off to the side and create a fun card. I realized that I put the washi tape on the outside edge of this die. That's such a strong habit of mine. Okay, so these are now ready to add the behind elements. So let's start with our tree. We do want it to be popped up, so we want to make sure that we add dimensionals to the edge on the back side of our DSP. I've gone ahead and added those dimensionals to the back of each of these. And what we're going to do is we're just going to line up that negative space with our stamped image. And I do recommend letting it hover and then slowly bring it down over that image. Just like that. Such a cool effect. And let's do the same here. There we go. All right, so on this one, we need to add something behind that we're going to see. And I chose to add a little bit of that glimmer paper, and you can see a little bit of it on the border as well. So I love the look so much that I also did it on this card. Not sure if you can see, but there's a little border of glimmer paper behind. So we're going to go ahead and cut the gold and evening evergreen glimmer paper down to just a little bit larger than this piece. So if you remember, this piece was 3 3/4, and I'm going to go to 3 7/8. But if you want a larger border, then you can go to 4 inches. So 3 7/8, and then we rotate and go to 5 1/8. And you can see that that's going to give us just a tiny little border, about 1/16 of an inch on both sides. And then it's going to give us that beautiful gold glimmer right in the in those holes in the snowflake. So let's go ahead and do the same for our Christmas tree. So 3 7/8, and then 5 1/8. All right, so to add this, I'm going to add some liquid adhesive to this main image, but just make sure you don't get any glue inside those holes. And then you do want to add some dimensionals along the top and bottom, and then add that to the center of that gold glimmer paper. And press down in the center where the liquid adhesive is so it sticks nicely, so that you can see that beautiful glimmer coming through. And then we'll do the same here for the evening evergreen. Just a very tiny little border of that paper. Now, if you don't want to waste all that beautiful paper, you could cut out a square or use a die or something behind on that glimmer paper, just so that you're not wasting paper. Okay, so now we're ready to add this to our card bases. I've got 2 card bases of thick basic white cardstock. They are scored in half at 4 1/4, and the size is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. And then we're just going to add them right to the center of the card base. So really quick and easy. There's going to be a larger border here. I like using liquid glue because it gives me a chance to move things around if they're maybe not completely straight when I first add it to my card base. And then you do want to smooth out whenever you're using liquid glue. Make sure to smooth out your cardstock. Okay, so next we're going to add our greetings. The first one for this snowflake, I'm going to add Season's Greetings. This does come from the Brightest Glow bundle, and it's cut out with the label. This is kind of a rectangle label, and it's in that die set there. I've added dimensionals to the back, and I'm just going to place it near the bottom of that snowflake. And then for my Christmas tree, I wanted to add some ribbon. So I'm going to add some adhesive here first. You can use tear and tape or your Stampin' Seal, just something strong to hold onto that ribbon. And you can pre-cut your ribbon or you can just add it from the spool. So I want it to go from the left to the right. So I'm going to flip it and do the opposite. So right to left, start in the top right corner, come down, and instead of going straight onto my card, I'm actually going to flip the ribbon over, and it's going to give me that nice 3D ribbon look. So again, instead of going straight back so that the ribbon doesn't have a fold in it, you just flip it over to the other side of the ribbon. It's struggling today because it's on the spool. There we go. And then adhere it, and then you can cut off at an angle. Okay, so it's going to look something like that. So do you see how twisting the ribbon gives you that nice loop there? And then we're going to add a dimensional over that ribbon to hold it onto our card. Okay, so that just holds the ribbon in place, and then we can add the greeting. I do place it inside. Those dimensionals should touch the tree. And just kind of near the bottom, close to the edge. Okay, so it's going to look something like that. And then, of course, can't forget about the pearls. This card doesn't have any embellishments. I chose not to add any pearls to my Christmas tree, but if you wanted to, you could. And of course, I misplaced my Take a Pick tool. So I'm just going to use my paper snips, and you just pick up one of the gold pearls, and I'm going to add them to some of the details in the snowflake. So there's one in the center, and then the other, let's see, where did I put it? Kind of on this, there's a large star. Do you see how where these two pieces of the DSP meet? There's a large star right here, and that's where I'm adding the little pearls. And that card is all done. Such a fun look, having that negative focal point to your card. Well, I hope you try this technique with your own cards, either using the products from the Lights Aglow suite or with something that you might already have on hand. If you're interested in getting written instructions on how to create these cards or seeing close-up images, you can visit my blog, creativechelsea.com. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.